Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We're here to talk the Real Housewives of Potomac today. So this is a spoiler alert for anyone who's not had an opportunity to watch last night's episode of the Real Housewives of Potomac. Let's go ahead and get started. Of course, everything in this video is alleged, but before we do, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn those notifications on. Headed to see Joe Gorga and Frank Catania soon, so you're going to want to make sure I'm going to be posting live, and you're going to want to make sure that you have those notifications on. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started with the Real Housewives of Potomac last night. I'm going to jump around a little bit because some of the different things that stuck out to me, it was a little bit, I thought it was a good episode. Yeah, it was a good episode. I wouldn't really rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. If you guys want to, though, leave a comment and let me know how you would rank last night's episode. We see a blast from the past from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. We see Peter Thomas making his debut on the Real Housewives of Potomac. We were hearing rumors that him and Gizelle were allegedly hooking up, and I think it's interesting that Wendy is actually introducing him onto the show. We know that sometimes Bravo will bring people on and tell someone they have to bring them on as a friend. Okay, we saw this with Portia. We've heard this from the other ladies. So it's possible that this is some sort of a storyline for Wendy because maybe she didn't have a lot going on this year. So she's going to incorporate Peter Thomas, who is going to start hooking up with Gizelle. And this is going to be like a whole thing because Gizelle doesn't have a strong storyline either, except for this whole Chris and Candace allegation, which we're going to get into. Peter Thomas said that she would need to put up $300K for 20% of the business. She wouldn't see a return on her money for 18 months to 2 years. And with all of that being said, did you guys notice that he never took his sunglasses off? Peter Thomas never has his sunglasses off when we see him. We saw glimpses of him in the Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I want to know if you guys caught something. Last season, when we saw him on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Kenya Moore said something when he came up to say hello to them and hugged her, and then he he was very quick to run off. I think he was there with Apollo. She said, he's high as a mother effer right now. Look at him. He's high as a mother effer right now. So I wasn't sure what she was alluding to. Obviously not recreational, anything like that. I think she meant something harder. I would probably say, something that's popular with more like rich and elite people that we hear about, the other people that party, if you will. But I just found it really interesting that Kenya said that. And then a common thing when people are drunk or whatever, they always wear their sunglasses. It's just like a thing. I think it's like gives them a sort of sense of privacy, if you will, because you can't look into their eyes. But I always notice lately when we see Peter Thomas, he has the sunglasses on. And I found it interesting that Wendy said how successful he was because it was not that long ago that Cynthia had to file a civil lawsuit against him for like $60,000. I think it was right before she married Mike or slightly after. She came out with a civil suit against Peter Thomas and said he owed her like $60,000. And that was like with no interest or anything. She just wanted her own money back that she had allegedly loaned him. We've heard of Peter Thomas not paying other people before. This isn't the first time we've heard of this, but he still manages to come up with these restaurants. He's got one now in Baltimore. We see him advertising for it. It's on the Bay. It does look very beautiful. However, I think that Wendy would be very foolish to go in the hospitality business. You work all the time. Every time we see Peter Thomas, he's at his bar, right? Bar one. You have to promote it. It's hard work. It's long hours. I.e. Chris and Candace. This kind of drives us back into the Chris and Candace thing. Now, Candace is following her career. She's going to get her eggs frozen. And Chris is now working as a GM at Hotel Washington. Now, the rumors allegedly around Chris and Candace have been that Chris, when he gets off work, he stays and has a couple drinks. Guys, if anyone's in the restaurant business, raise your hand. Ever been in the restaurant hospitality business? You know what it's like when you get off work. Everyone goes out and has drinks, and 2 drinks turn into 4 drinks. And it's like more common, I think, in the hospitality industry to have a drink right after work or go sit at the bar. So Candace is saying, like, Chris, you're not coming home till 1 o'clock in the morning. You don't have a consistent schedule. You don't have the same days off. And his response is, like, I can't help it if my boss schedules, a 500 person party. Like, I don't have control over these things. So you kind of see them going back and forth, which I think as a general manager, I'm sure that you have a lot of responsibilities. You're working a lot, but I mean, you could take like a weekday off steady, like every Wednesday or something, and work if you had to, but just take a day off that they're like not busy. Also, we know that Gizelle is coming in with a storyline that Chris was inappropriate with her at last year's reunion. And I want to know if you guys, anyone pay attention to Chris and Gizelle's interaction when they came into Karen's party, her cherry blossom party. You could see there was tension. Chris didn't barely speak to Gizelle. Normally he comes in and he jokes and la la la, cha cha cha. He did not do that. I noticed that right away. It looked very awkward and I could see that there was tension. Now we also see Karen. She looks amazing. She's with Ray. She's throwing this party. Gizelle's getting ready. The girls come in to sit with her to look over her outfits. And it was so funny because one of Gizelle's daughters said, haven't we updated your wardrobe yet? And then she told him they could, skedaddle. So she definitely brought them in there to film a scene with her. She says they're turning 17. She's about to be devastated. She's been in this routine with her children for 17 years. And you can kind of see the pain on her face because she does look like she doesn't know what she's going to do. But yeah, people are saying, well, not people. Chris and Candace said in a live, and they alluded to it several times, that this is why Gizelle was coming with such a strong storyline, coming after them, because she's going to be losing the child support for her 3 girls because the one's like turning 18 soon and the other ones will the next year. Another thing I want to talk about, this divorce between Ashley and Michael. Are you guys buying it? Please leave in the comments what you think about this. I'm going to agree with Karen when she says that Ashley's figured out how to get what she wants. I thought about, I have a 2-year-old. So when I saw Ashley in that apartment with her 2 boys, I thought, well, it's a townhouse. I don't know what you call it's in a building, but it's very nice, but it's not something that it would be difficult to have 2 kids in there on top of, them and whoever's helping. Like, they just don't have a lot of space in that apartment that they live in. So I understand Ashley wanting a house, and if she has to divorce this man or threaten to divorce him to get a house, I'm not mad at her. Like, you have 2 kids and you're crammed in this tiny ass space with kids. They have all this stuff, especially when they're little. Like, I just remember my house being taken over with like kid stuff because it takes a lot to raise babies, and she has 2 of them. She looks amazing, guys. When she came in that outfit, her body is banging, her TikToks are banging, and she's killing it. So I am team Candace when she says, I will throw Ashley the divorce party. Like, she can do better than that man, and I completely agree. Ashley also made the comment that Michael drinks and she doesn't drink anymore. And I definitely think that put problems in their marriage more so than maybe she would like to admit, because I think that's one thing they had in common was they drank together. Ashley used to drink a lot. They drank at the restaurant. They would drink at home. Like, every time we saw Michael, he had a Corona in his hand. And that was what they had in common. They would get drunk and, have wild menage a trois or whatever it was they did. But now she's ready to just be with one person and her kids, and she doesn't seem to be Michael's not really meeting her needs there. So I really love that the women are supporting her. We had heard rumors whenever it was first announced that she was getting divorced, that she had went to this party talking about she was getting the money, she was getting the check, and she's getting over half of his money in a lump sum. But we didn't see that in the cameras last night. When Ashley had posted real time at this party, it looked like they were having a good time. It looked like Ray was dancing. They were taking shots. They were all dancing and having a good time. But now that we're seeing the filming end of it, I want to talk about Mia coming in. And I want to know what your guys' honest opinions are of Mia and your opinions of this Instagram post. Do you guys remember when she came out with this post? And it did say Johns Hopkins Cancer Center, and I very much thought that she was sick. And it turns out that she thankfully isn't. That's what she's telling us. But Gizelle and like the other women, they found it odd that she would post that. And they kind of don't say any. I mean, they talk about it in the park together because they open up a scene with Robin, Karen, Gizelle, and Ashley. And of course, they speak about Mia's post alluding to her having cancer. And then several days, the intro of it changed and she did word it differently. And I'm assuming that's when she found out that she, didn't have cancer, thankfully. But we have that situation that kind of raises a little bit of a red flag. And Gizelle kept saying, oh my gosh, ladies or guys, we've heard that the ladies will like repeat something over and over and over because they say like so much of what they say gets cut out that if they really want something to make it on camera, they just say it all season. Well, Gizelle said about 3 times that we heard on camera to Mia's face. She said, Mia, it just looks like one of those posts. It's like, look at me, look at me. And then, somebody else enters the conversation and Giselle's like, I was just telling Mia how her post was like, look at me, look at me. And then she greets Mia by saying, is this what cancer looks like? I cannot even believe she said that. I really couldn't believe she said that. But what do you guys think about Gizelle coming after Mia? But at the same time, some of Mia's stuff's not making sense to me because, guys, she also posted on Instagram several days ago that Gordon had allegedly had everything in his son's name for, generational purposes, and that they had cut off access. They had cut Gordon and Mia off access to accounts while they were celebrating Gordon's 70th birthday party. Mia said she'll no longer be working there. She was telling, people, patients, you won't see me in that office. One of his granddaughters commented on the post and basically said, there's more to the story. You're not telling everything. And it was very confusing. So I want to know what you guys think about that because that was a little confusing too. I'm a little confused like why you would have everything in your son's name if you have a wife with 3 other children. I don't know. I'm sure that Gordon's a very smart man. Oh, and this was the other red flag. Yes, they're in Potomac, right? She said she's Karen's neighbor. She loves it. They got like I don't know what they got, but some sort of home, I think. But she said they were renting, and that raised another red flag for me. And the only reason that I say that, and people are like, why is it a big deal to rent? It's not a big deal to rent. It's not a big deal to rent. People rent all the time. But it's a little bit of a bigger deal when you're allegedly worth millions and millions of dollars because usually rich people have money invested in real estate, and they know that you're kind of just throwing money away if you're paying rent when you could be putting it towards, the principal of buying a home, whatever the situation is. Usually rich people have really good credit. They can go into the bank, get a home loan with super low interest, and at least be putting the money towards the principal every month. It just raises a little bit of a red flag. That's all, for them to be married and to, have a lot of money to be in Potomac. And she said she wanted to get the kids settled, and that's very possible. That's just very, very possible. I just don't think we know Mia enough to kind of make a real judgment on her, but I want to know what you guys think. Anyways, what's your judgment on her? Also, what did I want to tell you guys? Ashley buying the house and the LLC. Oh, I wanted to talk about Wendy when she greeted Gizelle and walked over to her at the party, and Gizelle was like, don't touch me. No, don't touch me. No hug for you. Wendy's voice got so high because I think that her feelings are genuinely hurt, which is hilarious because I think she forgot all of the things that she said to Gizelle. And I don't even think that Wendy said anything super duper crazy. I just think that is such a wound to Gizelle. It shows that she has not healed yet, I think, from everything that Jamal put her through. And then they had basically a fake relationship. Everyone kind of does forget that they kind of admitted to faking their relationship on the show, which is a little bit crazy because you have a pastor who's supposed to be righteous and a stand up, integrity. And then you have Gizelle, who's, an ex-pastor's wife, and she's on the show. And yeah, if you guys go back and watch that reunion, and Monique, of course, has the binder. Do you guys think that Gizelle and Jamal faked that relationship that season? If you do, make sure you comment. And the last thing I want to tell you guys is Escala. We saw her on the show last night. I told you guys that we were going to see her, didn't I? Yeah, we saw her last night on the show. I want to know what you guys think. We saw her a little bit last season, but we saw Tiki Barber's wife way more last season in the Real Housewives of New Jersey, and they edited her completely out of the reunion. Like, she didn't even get 5 minutes. At least Escala got like 5 minutes, right? I don't know. Do you guys want to see Escala back? Do you think it's disrespectful for Bravo to have them do the glam, buy the dress? Guys, that's money. Travel and go all the way to film the reunion and then get no camera time. I don't know. I just want to know your thoughts, guys. So anyways, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and put those notifications on, and have a great Monday.